Okay, now let's work on the barcode paper setting. We can create a new configuration, so we're supposed to work on this paper type. Hold on, let me just bring that here. Okay, so we have paper type to configure. This is the paper type. We have 500 mm wide by 25 mm, and there are going to be two on a line side by side. Now let's jump right in. Now, to create that on Business Sensor, we need to first of all go to Activities, then go to Barcode Paper Management Settings. Then if you don't have that configuration yet, you're gonna need to add it. To do that, just click on that. It's gonna pop up that page. Give it a comfortable name. We're gonna give it the same name we have on that image. That's going to be 500 by, just use alphabets or numbers all true, 500 by 25 mm. Okay, now paper kind. Now we don't really, if you have your printer installed like it's supposed to be with a thermal printer, if you have it installed on the system, you're definitely going to see that paper type on this drop down. Now I don't have a thermal printer installed on my system, so because of that I'm not going to see that paper size here. So for now I'm just going to use custom, and then top margin, that's going to be the distance between the top of the barcode section to the tip of the paper. You are gonna have that definitely because your paper should have size. So from what we have here, we have 50 by 25. Let's say the margin is gonna be like let's say like 2 mm, and then left margin 2 mm. So you may have to check what you have. Then we have label height. Label height, that's the barcode itself, and in this case it's going to be 25 mm. So from what we can see here, this is 25 mm here. Here, this 25 mm. That's the height, and this is the width. So let me just magnify a little, then I'll show you the margin we're talking about. If we have let me just reduce this thickness as well. Okay, so if we want to know the top margin, just as there's going to be a broken line for tearing right here. So check the distance between this point and that point. It's going to give you this measure here, this one. And same thing goes for between this place and that place for the left margin. So I'm just assuming it's 2 in this case. Then we have the height, which is 25. We have the label width, which is going to be 50. Then horizontal spacing. So horizontal spacing is going to be the spacing between a barcode, in this case this barcode, and that barcode. What's the spacing? If there's none, depending on the kind of paper you have, if there's no spacing, then you just put 0. So vertical spacing. Okay, vertical spacing is the spacing in between one print to the other. Okay, and that's going to be between this place and that place. So that was the spacing there. So let's just say like 5 mm. Then top margin and left margin has to do with the entire printout. Like the left margin definitely. Then the top is going to be what the top the first barcode to the top of the paper. What's the distance going to be? I think I made a little mistake around there, so let's say like 5 here and 5 there. Then vertical spacing is the spacing between barcodes. We have horizontal spacing, side spacing between barcodes, and then voila, we update. Okay, so after doing that, we just save, and we have the configuration set. Okay, close that. Now let's try it out. Print. So you choose the configuration you want to print. We have that. Then you choose the item you want to print barcode for. Let me see if I have something here. You could definitely use anything you want. Let's just say that. Now how many barcodes do you want to print? Let's say I want to print like 20. And then do you want to include price? Yeah. Regenerate barcode. That's if you mark this, even if barcode has been generated before, it's going to regenerate it, which you don't want to do, because if you do that, every barcode that has been printed is going to become invalid. You don't want to do that. So just leave it as is. If there's no barcode before, it's still going to generate the barcode. But if you have barcode before, you want to leave the barcode like that. Don't touch it. So here you're specifying whether you want to have whether you want to include the price. Now if you have any other item to print, put the item again and put the quantity to print. So if let's just test this out. Print barcode. Some items do not have barcode. Do you want Business Sensor to generate barcode for them? Yes, sure. Okay, so we have that. Now another thing you want to do is you want to make sure you set your paper your paper size before printing. And in this case, because you don't have you probably don't have the chance to do that, you may have to do that from your setting. But let's see what we can do from here. Page setup. I don't have the printer on my system, so let me just use some custom. The width is gonna be this paper is each barcode is 50 mm, so we have the two side by side. The two side by side is gonna be 100, and then we said the margin, left margin is gonna be 5, so right margin is also gonna be 5, so that's like 110 with 110. And then the height, that depends on how many we want to print. So all this has to be calculated well. Now we have let me see what we have. Okay, we have the distance in between, which is 5 mm, and then that means there's going to be 5 mm at the top, 5 mm at the bottom. So that means we have 5 mm plus 25 mm occupied by one barcode. So that means the barcode is 30 mm. So if we want like 100, or if, let's say okay, yeah, if we want 10, if we want to print 10 rows which coincides with 20 barcodes, then 10 is going to be 10 times 30, and that's 300. So our height is going to be 300. Of course, if you have the printer, you don't need to go through all this. So we have all this margin, and in our own case we have 5 mm margin. The right is also going to be 5, the bottom 5, and the top 5. Okay, so we have 2, and it's just going to match the printer. So let me magnify that again. Okay, that's what we got. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Okay, so this is like 10 on a page. So the calculation may be rusty. You just need to do some trial and error to make sure everything matches. So let me see what we could do again. to make things right. Okay, now we've tried that. Let's try again. Okay, each time you do it, you just have to remodify your printer setting. Now, in my own case, my default printer is A4, so that's why you're seeing this. But on your own system, you're going to make your default the thermal printer, or you have to go and set the paper size every time, just like that. Okay, now let's see what else we could do to make sure it's occupying the right space. So we'll come here again, top margin, let's say we put 0. Let's try 0 out and see what we're going to get. 0 and 0. Update, save, then go back to the print. Let's see how it's going to come out. Custom, item name, I used laptop the other time. Laptop, okay, and then we have 20. So if I print that, what are we gonna have? Let's go to the page setup. We choose custom size. Yep, custom, and then we have width of 100, and then height of 300. Let's see what that will give us. Okay, we got something here. Let's see. So definitely it's gonna be different if you have the real printer. So I suggest you try it out, make sure it sets well, make some few prints and see how it's gonna work out. And that is it. Thank you.